Welcome back to the Bullpen Mafia. In the shadow of Lone Depot Park, where there's no baseball being played, but there's plenty of meaningful baseball going on as we speak. Toad and I recording on October 10th. It is about 8:30, Toad, and we are in the thick of the NLDS, dude.
It's late night with the Mafia.
Late night with the Mafia. There are some fantastic games going on as we speak. I think right now, the seventh inning, Cleveland and Detroit. And Toad, correct me if I'm wrong, it's 4-3.
4-3, David Fry just hit a big go-ahead homer. It is now the top of the eighth inning. And in Kansas City, the Yankees have a 1-0 lead thanks to a Juan Soto
RBI ground out.
RBI single. You see that? Look at our broadcasting chops. Some would say we're doing better than Bob Costas right off the bat.
The corpse of Bob Costas, dude. If I have to hear Bob Costas one more time in a meaningful baseball, like that's a detriment to the baseball, to the entire sport.
Usually I'm not one to complain about the broadcasting crews, but it's taking away from the experience. Like it's a distraction of how bad it is. You know what I mean? Like if the broadcast crew is average, you're not going to say anything. You're not going to complain, but it's been so bad. That's what people are talking about instead of
the great games. Yeah, absolutely. I think we speak for everybody here that we love baseball. Baseball's having its moment. And to Toad's point, the gravity of the broadcast needs to match the gravity of the game. And in the biggest situations, the Bobby Witt diving play, it's like, it sounded like game 121 at Lone Depot Park with 5 fans watching.
Yeah, not less than ideal, but I think broadcasters, like athletes, you can relate to this. They don't know when to hang it up.
Right.
Being a broadcaster is all Bob Costas knows. So I can understand the hesitancy to hang up the cleats when you're an athlete.
Put the mic away, bro.
Put the mic away.
You know, this would be a cool conversation to bring in our boy Glenn Geffner, because he's obviously called some huge moments about just what it's like. Because I know in the Panthers postseason run, Sean McDonough caught a lot of heat, right? He was not as excited.
He was sick,
right? He was sick, but everybody thought it's like, hey, this guy's not bringing the level of excitement for the Stanley Cup Finals. Bob Costas is, you're not doing it for us right now, bro.
Yeah, and Bob Costas also sounds disappointed when the Royals do anything positive. It's like, let's hide our biases a little bit better than that. But on the topic of late night with the Mafia, your Canes had a late night out in California.
Late night with it, dude. I told you off air, I cannot believe that California's in the ACC. That's besides the point. Conference realignment's happening. It is here. It's done with. But dude, if I ever have to watch a 10:30 game again, I don't think I can do it. I was watching the game, tried to go out to a bar, couldn't do it. Came back at halftime. I'm washed up. I stayed up till 3:30 in the morning. Then how are you going to go to bed after that? The Canes came back from a 25-point deficit, win the game. Fantastic. You know, we're sitting in the Canes Inside Studio, a bunch of Canes merchandise. Shout out to Champies. But yeah, my Canes won. They're 6-0. Thankfully, we have a bye week this week. Couldn't have come at a better time.
Yes, and Cam Ward, Heisman hopeful. Still don't know what that means.
Hey, our guy Bear told us. We didn't know how to bet some of these games. He said, bet on Heisman picks, right? He told us. He told us Travis Hunter was a good price. He told us about Jalen Milroe, Carson Beck. We didn't take any of Bears bets, but they were all right. And Bob Nightingale, spot on about the Padres. So if you haven't listened to our last 2 episodes of the Bullpen Mafia with Bob Nightingale, his playoff preview, he tells us the Padres are the best team in the National League. The Bear tells us, look out for the Royals.
And look, we're
checked out.
The Yankees are on the verge here, but the Royals with pitching, anything is possible.
Toad, you had a big night this week. Panthers opening night, banner night.
Banner night at the bank. We were talking about it before. It's been a long time since watching a game in that arena without having any stress whatsoever.
Right.
So it was really nice to just kind of enjoy the moment, not having to be sitting on my hands the entire game. I was able to eat, drink, enjoy the game, watch hockey.
Had a couple beers.
I'd like to announce I'm having 2 beers. Went with Carlos Basnuevo. Shout out to him. We really appreciate him. He was the first person to model our Rap Mafia t-shirt inside the arena. We got a couple compliments on that. That shirt's available in our shop. It's in our bio, Instagram. Check it out. It's a really unique design. Javi thought of it during the Stanley Cup run. I
think it was game. Which one? Game 2?
I don't know, when we were feeling cocky.
Yeah, we're really cocky. I think we commissioned the shirt during the second intermission. And granted, the Oilers made a tremendous comeback. if you don't, I mean, if you're listening to the podcast, you probably know the Panthers did win the Stanley Cup.
Yeah,
but it was almost
out.
an epic collapse.
Yes,
and these shirts were already made and designed on the way before the series was over. So,
and just to briefly describe them, it's the Panthers rat on the back. He's got a crown on because he just won the Stanley Cup, and instead of Bullpen Mafia, we're the Rat Mafia because of the Panthers tradition, longest standing fan inspired tradition, I think it is in the NHL.
Don't quote us on that, but yeah,
if the Panthers tweeted it, it's true. Okay, so that's where I saw that. So a really cool design. It's on a cream colored T-shirt. You can wear it with whatever. Wear it to a Panthers game. Wear it to a Canes game.
Yeah,
why not?
Why not?
But yeah, it was a great time. I don't know how the Panthers are doing right now. I'm so distracted by the baseball.
Right, baseball, baby. We're baseball all the way.
Yeah, that banner night was kind of secondary to the games that we've been watching.
Final thing, we're going to put our hand up here. Follow on us. We put out a graphic. Toad did a great job on it. Sort of documenting all the former Marlins that are in the NLDS or were in the NLDS because this person that was left off this graphic is no longer playing. And
so maybe we were
right.
We were predicting something.
We left JT Realmuto off. Arguably one of the most important figures on that list, but
one of the only guys on that list who's a multiple all-star.
Right. And probably the top 3 catcher in baseball. But that's beside
the
point.
Big whiff. Sent it to the group chat. Am I missing anybody? I went through all the rosters.
I signed off on it. Petey's not with us here tonight because he is at the fair with Brady, and Brady's probably having a lot of cotton candy.
Deep fried Oreos.
Yeah, good luck to Petey getting those kids to sleep tonight. But Petey doesn't have the Marlins knowledge that Toad and I have. Toad and I consider ourselves big Marlins fans. That's a big whiff on our part. But hand up, we got it wrong.
We owned up to it. Shout out to the Instagram commenter that held us accountable. Yeah. I was appreciative. At the end of the day, we all make mistakes. We're going to learn from it.
We want to get it right.
We're going to get it right some umpires forward. And honestly,
Bob Costas.
with JT Realmuto on that graphic, I think that team in a bubble, if everyone is in the prime of their careers,
damn good team.
That team makes the playoffs.
Yeah.
Might win the NL East.
Right. Makes you wonder. But let's get into the heart of the matter here, and we are going to recap some series. Obviously, not all the NLDS series are done, but the one that is done, the one that had the biggest fanfare, obviously has the New York going crazy. The New York Mets beat the Philadelphia Phillies in 4 games. Oh my! Look, I will say this: I'm not a Mets fan by any stretch of the imagination. Toad is a newly ordained Mets fan.
Adopted, my adopted team since the All-Star break. Since Oh My God dropped.
That was a sick atmosphere at Citi Field, and I think we get players' perspective a lot. We try and get media perspective. We thought, hey, we know someone that was there. I know someone that was there. We are going to do our best. Mad Dog, our call-in segment. We're gonna bring in good buddy of mine did his MBA with me, Dan Hines. Dan was in the building. Dan, you're in the show now. So
sorry, hey. I'm trying to see if Garrett Cole earns his pinstripes tonight.
Probably not. But
I'm in a tough predicament. Usually I'd be rooting against the Yankees, but I already bought tickets for game 3, 4, and 5. And they won't announce the start time till the Yankees lose or go home. So, go Yankees.
So, wait. You bought tickets for game 3, 4, and 5 of the Mets series?
For the Mets NLCS, I bought home tickets game 1, 2, and 3, which equates to game 3, 4, 5, as I was walking into Citi Field last night.
Wow.
Whoa.
Hold on. Dan, the Mets have been a franchise that have not necessarily been the winners that you sort of pounded, but you bought tickets before you walked into the stadium for the CS.
It was my own character redemption arc. The last time I did this, Matt Harvey was entering the 9th inning, and my brother and I booked airfare, hotels, tickets for game 6, game 7 in Kansas City, and, then had to watch everyone forget how to play defense. But yeah, this is a Mets redemption arc. This is a Dan Hines redemption arc. It's the happiest I've ever been, but I'm also sad because I know they're winning the World Series and it will never be the same again. I'll still love baseball, I'll still be romantic about the Mets, but it won't be the same once you get one.
What is it about the Mets that New Yorkers are willing to stick with them through so much torture? For us as Marlins fans, they started this season at what felt like 0-20, and I'm pretty much burning all of my merchandise. What makes Mets fans so different than everybody else?
Going to elementary school on Long Island or Queens or Manhattan, and there's like 2 kids in your class that are Mets fans, right? It's you and some other kid named Chris, and everyone else is a Yankee fan. And Derek Jeter's out there being the playboy of the town. They're going to the ALCS every year, seemingly winning the World Series every year. You know, you grow up with some grit and some character, and it just kind of instills this like Stockholm syndrome in you where you don't know when to give it up. And you're waiting, and you kind of what keeps you going is the idea of like, yeah, one day I get to say to my buddy Connor, like, yeah, you have 4 World Series, but my 1 is better than your 4.
I love that. That's sick.
Yeah, it's getting revenge from the 3rd grade.
And that guy Chris.
Going. And that guy Chris. Yeah, I wonder what Chris is doing now.
Dan, put us in that seat yesterday when Lindor hits that home run. What was the stadium like?
Or, kiss the girl man on the cheek that you didn't know. Because like that what was going on everywhere in the stadium. Just hugging. I've watched the video today like 100 times. Poor quality job by Fox. All the broadcasts this postseason has been a disaster. But in the stadium, and I was sitting section 107, which is like in between, we'll say, right field and first base. I had no idea it was going out. You could tell a run was coming home. You could tell it was maybe going to be an extra base hit, and then it was the biggest party ever. I mean, it lasted 2 minutes long, just jumping up and down. I mean, people kissing each other on the cheeks, hugging, like nobody even knew. There was these 2 kids in front of us. I say kids are like 30-year-old men who were freaking out the whole game. And in the 9th inning, I find out they're visiting from Fort Lauderdale and they're Marlins fans. They're not even Mets fans.
Wow.
They're just like, we wanted to be a part of this. Yeah. They're like, we just wanted to be a part of this.
Dan, in terms of your favorite Mets teams, where does this one rank? Because I think what this one has, and we've sort of ridden this wave of Mets fandom because we don't have the same, sort of appreciation for what the Marlins are doing. We had Adrian Hauser on right at the beginning of the year, and Hauser no longer with the Mets, but he talked about Grimace and like this sort of larger than life thing that was happening. The Mets have had such a roller coaster, right? The year started with obviously a really tough start to April. Jorge Lopez issue, the glove flying into the stands. Then Grimace
described the Mets as the worst team in baseball.
Right. He described the team as the worst team in baseball. So like the Mets have had this roller coaster of a year, and here they are 4 wins away from the World Series. Like in terms of your favorite Mets teams, is this 1A, 1B? Where does this one rank?
Prior to the year of our Lord Grimace, 2024, 1A was certainly the 2015 team. They had at the time, what you perceive to be 5 aces, which is funny because the only one still left in baseball pitches 5 games a year in Texas. So that was, I think, number 1, right? They came out of nowhere. You had to know we don't care about October baseball. We care about November. They were gritty. Daniel Murphy. Outside of that 2015 team, man, I'm 32 years old. There's like the 2000, 2001 Piazza teams. I was at that Piazza 9/11 home run game, and this is blasphemous as a New Yorker. Last night was better than that, and it was
wow.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
Are you naming your firstborn Francisco?
Francisco Hines, dude.
I am naming my firstborn daughter Shay, and that's been determined for like 15 years. Francisco doesn't really look like. I'm not from Florida. I'm Irish.
We'll go. How about Frankie Hines? All right, that's not that bad.
Frankie, we'll call him Frankie.
All right, I'll say this, and this is broadcasted. This is documented. If the Mets win the World Series this year, I'll do Francis as a middle name.
Wow, done. Consider it done.
Yeah. Locked in.
Internet is forever.
Internet's forever. But this is 1A. It's not even close. Gay Mets, Grimace, OMG, the Pumpkin. I mean, how can you not be romantic about baseball? Alonso was 1 double play away from never stepping foot in a Mets uniform in Citi Field again to he has a lifetime contract.
That's another guy, dude. Pete Alonso's had an unbelievable postseason.
That's a Florida guy. Look at that.
Dan, Toad is a Marlins fan by birth, Marlins fan for over 30 years, but he's wearing a Mets hat today. He wants to join the bandwagon. Can you bring Toad along for this ride? Is Toad allowed to?
Is a division rival fan allowed to hop on this bandwagon? I hate the Phillies more than the Mets for whatever that's worth.
You describe it this way, and there's 2 points. Point 2 is going to be insulting, by the way. Point 1, the bus has 40 aisles. You can take a seat in aisle 39. You're welcome.
By the bathroom. Dude, I'll take the bathroom stall, man. What are you talking about?
Point 2, this is going to be mean, okay? The rest of the NL East tends to forget that the Marlins are in the NL East. So, you can come.
That's fair. That's fair.
That's fair, but I'm going to go back. I'm not going to say anything.
You got 2 titles. I got 0. I'm still, I'm still a real baseball fan. You guys, it's just it's a hobby once you have one. It's not the same.
Well, Dan, you're going to be at the NLCS game 3, 4, and 5. We're going to count on you for some content. We're going to get some good photos, some videos from you. We appreciate you hopping on with the Mafia, man. I
got one thing for you guys now.
What?
All right. So it was either in your podcast or a post, but you guys did this.
I'm scared.
Quarterback franchise draft. You each picked a player who would be if you were drafting someone to be the quarterback of your franchise.
Yes.
And I believe it was Witt, Ohtani, and Judge were the
correct
selected.
That's right.
All right. Here we are, less than 30 days later. Is that still the answer?
I would say Bobby Witt is still a fair choice, right? And which of the 3 is the one you have a problem with?
I don't know. I'm watching Bobby Witt team down 1-0 right now. And last night I watched the team not run to the pitcher's mound, but run to shortstop to celebrate. I think.
Frankie Lindor.
I think I could make a case that
sure
he's a quarterback.
So you're talking undersized Russell Wilson type, or is he going to be a Bryce Young type? Are we going to put him back there and he's not going to be able to see over the offensive line? Come on, Dan.
I'll tell you who I'd like to be my quarterback on the Mets, who's put together nicely in a uniform. Starling Marte fits a uniform.
No, that's my tight end.
That's
my tight end or a linebacker or a strong safety. Starling, you know who might be a great quarterback is Vientos.
Oh, yeah, Mark Vientos. Shout out South Florida.
He's got a cannon of an arm.
Yeah.
You guys think about this one-dimensionally. Dan, if you go back and listen to that episode, I break down exactly why I went with Bobby Witt, from his athleticism to his size to his star power. The fact that he speaks English. Javi's picking a guy who needs a translator.
Ohtani signals, baby. We're doing everything hot at the line of scrimmage, no huddle, dominate. But Dan, we wish you luck. We love the fact that you bought those tickets before you walked into Citi Field. That is a true Mets fan through and through. We look forward to having you back on in some capacity, calling in from game 3, 4, and 5. We're going to see if we can get Dan on during the game. If we're recording, we can see if we can get Dan live while he's at Citi Field. But thanks so much for hopping on the Mafia, brother. Appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. I'll see you guys November 3rd for the post-World Series appearance as well. So.
All right, Dan. Later.
Later, guys.
Thanks, Dan. Wow.
I mean, I will say that is we were just talking about being cocky when we designed a t-shirt. He just made. I don't want to speak. I don't know how much those tickets cost.
We'll say $500 a pop.
$500 a pop. Him and his brother.
So that's $30,000.
Big. That is. I respect that, dude. The Mets. There's something you said it. Team of destiny, man. And he talks. He made some good points. That Francisco Lindor home run, Toad. I mean, I don't get goosebumps a lot, but that home run was freaking epic. His run around the bases, no bat flip,
just everything about it. What are the kids saying? What's Marco Shoot saying? It has aura. Right? Francisco Lindor, that moment, the whole postseason, really, the whole second half of the season, Francisco Lindor has, in my eyes, has been worthy. Again, we've said this before. If it's not for Ohtani, Lindor is your runaway MVP candidate. You take Lindor off of the Mets. Ever since he was in the leadoff spot in the lineup, he's been unstoppable at the plate. He is their, I hate cliches, but he's the match that lights the Mets fuse.
Yeah.
You take out Lindor, nothing happens.
Yeah.
And they experienced that a little bit at the end of the season when they were fighting to make the playoffs. He had the back issue. He was out for about a week and a half, and the offense absolutely stalled.
Yeah.
He comes back. What happens? He hits the incredible home run in Atlanta to send them to the postseason. And I think now looking back at it, the home run, I think he's limiting his celebrations because he's limiting his movement.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah, he hits the bomb. He keeps everything compact, tight, runs the bases. I love, not to sound like a boomer or like your boy Chipper Jones, but I love the businessman mentality sometimes. It's
I think
swaggy
the
in
no
its own
selly,
way.
the no selly was a bigger
It's cold.
selly than the
It's
selly,
cold.
right?
It's cold. It's just funny that like the Mets and the Yankees have always been this big brother, little brother kind of thing. And the Yankees are they got the Steinbrenner thing going, like we're no
Evil
facial
empire,
hair.
yeah.
We're very serious, all this stuff. The Mets are having their fun, but Lindor gives them this very serious vibe, right? Like we're
legitimacy,
here to,
right?
Yeah, we're here to
Right.
win. We're going to take care of our business. Then you go look at the Yankees, and you have Jazz Chisholm running his mouth, and it's almost like the roles are switching,
right?
And it's amazing to see. I know you and I are both rooting for a Subway Series. I know I am.
Subway Series. I know Dan's rooting for a Subway Series. I mean,
Yeah,
the gentleman already bought his tickets for the NLCS. He's rooting for a Subway Series. Toad, I'm going to pose a question to you here, and I think it's an interesting conversation. We're going to get off the Mets here a second, but is the Phillies window closed?
I think there's going to be more changes there than people anticipate. I think Alec Boehm is on his way out. Without a doubt, I would say Rob Thompson is gone, and we were speaking about it before. Skip Schumacher might not have a job right now because he's waiting for one of these playoff teams to potentially have an opening. Right. I think it would make a ton of sense for Schumacher to slip into that Phillies job. It's going to be his first job.
It's a good job.
With a loaded roster, right?
We talked about it at the outset, like how many teams are built for October. Zach Wheeler, Aaron Nola, Ranger Suarez had a career year. Bullpen iffy, probably could have addressed that.
And the bottom third half of their lineup
iffy, but I mean, you talk
Kelly
about
Clemens,
the firepower. They have Harper, Castellanos, Trey Turner, Realmuto. Boehm had a massive year.
Yeah, but
what are they missing? We've
center
seen
fielder, Rojas, and the guy with the long hair and
Brandon Marsh.
You didn't even mention Castellanos.
Yeah, Castellanos, right field. But you talk about a team that had 3 years where they seemed like everything was right in front of them and gone, poof. And it's hard in baseball. Toad and I try to, we haven't seen a dynasty in a long time. We haven't seen a team that's really dominated year in and year out.
But it's good for the game.
Great for the game.
I love the parity. I love what the wild card is giving an opportunity for these smaller teams. I think we're trending in a direction where these owners and GMs are going to start to realize that some of these monster deals aren't worth it.
Right.
Look at the Tigers. Javi Baez is nowhere to be found anywhere.
He's down here. He's in South Florida.
Yeah, I was going to say he's nowhere close to Comerica Park.
Right.
The Padres dumped Soto. Soto's been doing amazing for the Yankees, but these contracts, these big players, nothing's a guarantee in baseball. And a part of me is cringing at the idea of this, but the value of chemistry in a baseball dugout and clubhouse throughout a 162-game season with the right leadership, with the right veterans, someone like a Francisco Lindor, someone like Aaron Judge, or if you're like the Tigers and something just sparks a young group, they're going to start placing more value on that. And these super teams, like what Philly has tried to put together, it's not cutting it. And at one point, does Dombrowski and their group say, let's try a different direction? And you might be onto something that it's now.
Window closed. Speaking of super teams, the Dodgers and Padres, if there wasn't the Mets and the Phillies, this would be the best series going on right now because it's had absolutely everything. We've had drama. We've had heated moments. We've had comebacks, home runs, celebrations,
great pitching,
poor pitching, horrible pitching, openers, closers. A series that just about had it all. And from a storyline perspective, Toad, we saw in Game 2, the roof wanted to come off in LA, right? We saw objects being thrown on the field. Manny Machado, Flaherty yelling at each other. Manny Machado gets much maligned for what he does. And granted, he's had some issues in the past, but there was a screaming match between Jack Flaherty and Manny Machado over him throwing a baseball into the Dodgers dugout. And thankfully, Jeff Passan was able to get, I don't know how he got it. ESPN
It was
Insider.
it was the Zapruder film. Back
It was
to the left.
It was somewhere, a drone footage. It seemed like from up in the sky, they got footage of Manny Machado throwing that ball into the dugout. It was not thrown into the dugout. It was on a hop. Manny Machado gets a bad rap. Ken Rosenthal kind of wrote a hit piece on him. I didn't love it.
Hit piece or pro Dodger propaganda?
Pro Dodger propaganda.
Yeah, that's how I took it.
But it takes away from what's been an incredible series. It's tied 2-2. We got a game 5 in LA tomorrow night. Standalone game on a Friday night. Doesn't get better than that. That is exactly what Major League Baseball wants.
Yes, but you're forgetting one thing that did happen.
What happened?
The jerks in Profar faking out Mookie Betts, making him think.
So cool. So cool.
I don't think anyone has ever seen that in a Major League Baseball game, and to have the presence of mind to do it in a playoff game to kind of get in.
Mookie was at second base. Mookie was rounding second.
Yeah. Well, he got in his head so much that the next time he did hit a home run and he's running off the field.
It was a cool moment too, because Jurickson and the fan who he caught it in front of, like Jurickson caught it and the fan realized it and he kind of like pointed at him.
That was the precipice of all of this happening.
Right. That was the moment because they said he celebrated and we don't know.
Profar caught the ball in front of that fan. And then I think Profar, the fan pointed at him, gave him props. And the fan was also wearing an Alex Vezina jersey.
Very bizarre.
So, hey, he's on the Marlins
right,
in the playoff, former Marlins in the playoff list. Call back to earlier in the episode. The fan gives him props. Profar comes back, and I guess later in the game as a olive branch offering, he's like, here's a ball that I owe you since I caught that one. The fan immediately throws it back onto the field. And I guess other fans around him is monkey see, monkey do, and Dodgers fans lost their shit and said, let's all throw stuff on the field. So I think that moment between Profar and the fan, that's funny. Like, I really don't want this. You can have it. That kind of started this
weird night in LA.
Night in LA that has started to snowball. But going back to our really early episodes, this is great for baseball.
Fantastic.
That chippiness that we've been looking for. It's fair to say that with I don't want to beat Petey while he's down and not here and not available to defend himself. Dodgers-Padres, best rivalry in baseball right now.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think one thing you see in that series that I know I asked D-Money about was the star power, right? Like I asked D-Money, his son loves baseball right now. He's watching a ton of baseball. Like, do your kids watch these games and are like, there's so many stars in the field. Fernando Tatis has hit, I think, 3 home runs in the series. Shohei Ohtani, Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman, who's injured right now. But Manny Machado, there's every single player on the field seems like a massive impact player. And when they're performing at their highest level, it's just so fun to watch. We saw Manny Machado. Look, this is one of the things I also wanted to hit on. Manny Machado gets much maligned, but his base running sort of prowess in game 3 was the whole spark plug for the Padres scoring 6 runs. They didn't score another run the whole game. They got 6 runs in the 3rd inning off Walker Buehler. Granted, one of those plays where Freddie Freeman makes a nice stop, goes to turn a double play at second base. There is no baseline. This is something that I think most people probably don't even know. There is no such thing as a baseline between first and second base. Manny Machado ran as far inside of the baseline as he possibly could. Freddie Freeman throws it off his helmet. Ball sails into left field. Runners on first and third. Next play, former Marlin, Miguel Rojas. I don't know. Miguel Rojas, was he on the list?
He was definitely on
the list. Miguel Rojas made a massive, massive mental mistake, not flipping the ball to second. Seemed like a tailor-made double play. I don't know what he was thinking.
For a guy who's supposed to be a defensive wizard, major brain fart, and he did what CJ Abrams did. He blew off some steam at the
casino
blackjack table, this total
just like us, man.
Totally normal reaction to a rough game on the diamond.
But yeah, we have our eyes all over that series. Again, a standalone game on a Friday night,
and we're looking at another game 5 here. Cleveland's up 5-3 in the top of the 9th. So big weekend for baseball.
Huge.
Stealing some spotlight from college football in the NFL.
Right. So that's the NLDS. Again, Dodgers and Padres tomorrow. The series is tied at 2. The ALDS, we're going to start with Toad just led off with. The Cleveland Indians seem like they're about to close this. Excuse me, Cleveland Guardians. Can't call them the tribe anymore, but Cleveland Guardians, the guards. Guards up. The Guards looking to tie this series. Another game 5, possibly on Saturday. That's been a cool series, Toad, because talk about the juxtaposition of star power. That is the Guardians and the Tigers. It is a bunch of guys that you probably have never heard of, but are making huge impact.
I like. Whoa! Almost dropped the mic. I like to think I watch a lot of baseball and I'm a well-rounded fan and I try to be as aware as possible, but I am admittedly not watching a lot of Guardians and Tigers baseball. So it's great to see some of these unheralded guys step up in big moments. Just today, David Fry, big 2-run homer, someone like Wenceel Perez, and then even with the Yankees series, 2 FSU pitchers are making their mark on the postseason. Tyler Holton, the closer for the Tigers, and Luke Weaver for the Yankees, stepping in for Clay Holmes, had a 5-out save last night and threw nothing but fastballs. Like, I know Mariano was cutters, right?
But hey, when you got a good pitch, man, hitters will tell you if it's good or not.
But it's really great that it's not just the stars.
Right.
Players are stepping up in huge moments, and baseball is expanding. And it's, again, these wild card expansion is allowing for these smaller market teams to have their moments and show off what baseball is capable of as far as firing up a city. We're looking at packed stadiums across the board.
That Tigers game yesterday on Wednesday afternoon, I think it was a 3:00 start. So 3 Eastern, 2 Central. There was 40,000 people there. And Toad mentioned something I hadn't heard, but the Tigers hadn't hosted a playoff game in 10 or 11 years. I looked it up, but 10 or 11 years. And then you get your first home playoff games at 2:00 on a Wednesday, and the whole city is there. It was loud from the get-go. The environment was electric. And you don't need, I think, what baseball is great at proving is that star power is wonderful. Star power can get you through 162 games. But when a team gets hot, there is no stopping them. The Detroit Tigers have had an unbelievable 6 weeks. They're continuing that. Granted, tonight, it doesn't look great for them. It looks like they're going to be playing a Game 5 in Cleveland. But the Tigers story has been unbelievable for baseball, just like all these other storylines. Final series we're going to talk about, Yankees and Royals. Yankees lead 2-1. They're winning right now, I think. As
it's only 1-0 early in the ball game, 1-0. But oddly enough, there's 2 Marlins who are at the center of that series.
Giancarlo
Stanton and Jazz Chisholm Jr.
Yep.
We can talk about Stanton briefly. He's incapable of running, it seems like, but somehow, some way, he continues to be the Yankee coming up with the biggest hits and the biggest moments. Saw a really great stat today. I wish I wrote it down or saved it to give credit to the person who did the research, but Stanton in the postseason averages a home run about 9 he averages a home run for every 9 at-bats. The only player in baseball history to average less is Babe Ruth, which is absolutely incredible. Stanton lives for the moments. Judge is struggling right now, and it's amazing to see a guy in maybe the twilight of his career as a power hitter still being able to step up in these huge moments.
It blows my mind that, Giancarlo was such a feared hitter all those years here in Miami. Even when he got traded to New York, he was supposed to be, they were calling him the second coming of the Bash brothers, him and Judge. And we haven't necessarily seen Giancarlo play. He's been injured a lot. And again, to have these moments in the postseason is so cool to see. Our other Marlin, Jazz Chisholm, certainly has made a ton of headlines in this series.
But he can't help himself.
He can't help himself. And look, I will say this. For all the kookiness and craziness of Jazz Chisholm, he's got to give you some villain. He gives you some villain energy that I don't know if the Yankees tap into. I don't know if they like that. But I'll tell you what, when he said that the Royals got lucky, Kauffman Stadium greeted him with a very loud, resounding boo when he got announced, and he loved it. Jazz was smiling the whole way. Again, from my perspective, I don't think those comments are warranted. I don't know why you want to give the Royals, a scrappy upstart team, any sort of bulletin board material. Jazz said it. A bunch of guys walked it back. It's too late. It was out there. He said the Royals got lucky. They won Game 2. He goes out there in Game 3, gets booed. He loves it. He's having a great time. Jazz is one of those guys, you love him or you hate him, but you're going to watch him.
He's a prototypical, I love him when he's on my team.
Right.
If he's not on your team, he's at the top of your hit list.
And he had a great quote, Toad, right? I mean, they don't boo no bums.
Yeah, but he also went 0 for 4.
But no one remembers that. Everyone sees the graphic on Instagram, Bleacher Report. They scroll through it. They don't boo bums. He's right. They don't boo bums. But he didn't necessarily have the the game of his life, game to remember.
But we talked about this also, referencing one of our earlier episodes. He was the missing juice in the Yankees dugout.
Yeah.
They were stagnant. It seemed like they got what's the word I'm thinking of? They got too comfortable. They had a huge divisional lead. They knew they were going to make the playoffs. Things weren't really going that well. They had a little skid. They acquired Jazz, and the Yankees got their swagger back.
Right.
And
and I think he's perfect for that. I think he kind of has that. We've said it before, like irrational confidence, like call it Dion Waiters, call it one of those guys that J.R. Smith just going to, was it J.R. Smith and Nick Young's right hand is strictly for buckets. So like, that's the kind of energy Jazz brings. Like, you don't necessarily know what he's going to say. You don't know what he's going to do, if he's going to be good Jazz or bad Jazz. But again, people are going to watch the purple belt, purple sleeves, purple shoes.
Yeah. The fit that does not match whatsoever. But that's not for me.
Not for me. We are watching, though. The playoffs have been spectacular. We are fans, first and foremost. We're really glad we were able to bring on Dan Hines today, a good buddy of mine, to give us some perspective on the Mets. Again, Major League Baseball is having its moment. I know Toad and I keep saying it. Petey, who's not with us tonight, but these games have been fantastic. We've been able to watch superstars. We've been able to watch teams come out of nowhere. People are talking about the Mets coming out of nowhere.
People are watching baseball, man.
People are watching,
in my group chats, the non-baseball guys, they're tuned in. They know ball.
They know ball.
I was getting my chats that have nothing to do with baseball. Did you guys see that Lindor home run? Wow, Frankie, what a hit.
Oh, my.
Remix. Actually, let's end right there. Oh, my God, remix featuring our boy Pitbull.
Mr. 305.
Releases tomorrow, Friday, October 11th.
Does it really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Course,
Toad, you're dialed, bro. You are dialed on Mets Nation.
Mets
bro.
Nation.
What a time. But that's going to do it all for us. Again, we didn't say it at the upfront part, but check out our merch. Like and subscribe wherever possible. Please like on Apple and Spotify. That's how we can get our content pumped out to more folks. Follow us on YouTube and Instagram. Again, we're along for the ride. The Mafia is going to be here. We'll check in next week, hopefully with some NLCS news and predictions.